The world is always watching China. We're told to avoid it, to fear it, this dangerous, mysterious country. But what really lies beyond the headlines? Join us on our first ever trip to China as we spend a week in Beijing. We'll be exploring 5,000 years of culture and discovering a country that few Westerners ever get to visit. We touched down in China in the capital, Beijing.
Yeehaw! Now we have to
First get some money. We find the metro.
and then get to the hotel.
It's crazy, just the sheer amount of people here. You feel illiterate here because there's so many signs, we cannot read any of them, so
No.
I have no idea where's the exit. So now we're going to look for an ATM. I hope this is an ATM. Okay, this looks like tickets.
I thought this was an ATM.
I thought so too.
And we can't walk to the hotel because it's like 5-6 kilometers. We have all our stuff. It's 35 degrees Celsius outside, so that's not a good plan.
We've also couldn't gotten a taxi, there's just a short line here. Just a few people.
So 20 minutes later, we're still looking for the ATM. Here it is. Yes.
With cash in hand and metro tickets sorted, we were feeling pretty confident. We made it to our metro stop and the hotel was just a quick walk away, or so we thought.
1 full hour of walking later, we're supposed to be at the hotel. It's supposed to be right here. That's shopping mall, it's not it, so we're checking to see if we have been checked by Google Maps.
As it turns out, Google Maps is basically useless in China because of some technical thing. The GPS coordinates use different standards here, apparently. Traveling China without a guide and with zero knowledge of Chinese was going to be a bigger test than we thought. But we did make it to our hotel.
We're officially dead.
And we're excited for our first full day in Beijing.
Good morning and welcome to Beijing.
We're gonna start off in the hutongs of Beijing, the famous back alleyways, and we're gonna go in search of Beijing's most infamous bird, the Peking Duck.
Ooh, sounds delicious. We turned around 2 corners on one of the main streets here in the Hutong, and it looks like all Chinese have gathered here. It's really nice, it's like very quirky shops here.
The hutongs are the historic alleyways of Beijing. These narrow streets are rapidly disappearing because of urban development. About 65% has already been demolished.
It's like a pig's paw. They even put some corn on it. It's like they glaze it and then they put corn on it to make it into this delicious little treat. This alleyway is called Nan Lao Gu Xiang, which I'm probably pronouncing horribly. It is one of the more busy streets in the Hutong area.
I have no idea what this is, but it looks really weird and there are a lot of people waiting here. So I'm just going to get one and see what it is. It looks like a dumpling, a very wobbly dumpling, filled with liquid. You get a straw with it and you're supposed to drink it. It tastes weird. I was expecting it to be sweet, but it's actually savory. It says there's something in English. Crab dumpling soup.
That also explains why there are small crabs on the packaging.
We're going to take a left here, away from the main alley, into the Mao Hutong.
And this is what these little alleys look like when you strip away all the busyness, and all the cafes and all the shops and all the tourists.
Yep.
It's like a normal residential area, but it's where people live and where people send their kids to school and drive around.
It's
And
really cool to see the locals go about their day-to-day business. One of the biggest cities in the world, and when you veer off into these small streets, it feels a lot more like a smaller city or even like a village.
When the Western media mentions China, it's always in a particular way. Strong economics, crazy technology, controversial politics. While there is a lot more to China than that, some things are definitely different here. When you walk around in Beijing, these are all around you. The Chinese government installed approximately 1.15 million CCTV cameras in streets, public areas and shopping malls to monitor its citizens. A few years ago, the BBC did an experiment. They flagged this reporter in the police system as wanted to see how long it would take the police to track him down in a big city. It took 7 minutes, so we're gonna be on our best behavior while we're here. Now we're gonna go get some food. Not in Chinatown, but the real deal.
All that walking around has made us hungry. So we've come for the most iconic food here in Beijing, the Peking Duck.
I've been looking forward to this for so long because I think it'll taste completely different than it does at home. I mean, it's where the Peking Duck was invented, so it should be good.
Peking duck is immensely popular in Beijing, and it dates back 6 centuries to the Ming Dynasty when it was made specifically for emperors. Over 2 million ducks are consumed annually in the city. It takes 3 days to prepare and get the skin perfectly crispy while the inside remains very tender.
It's really cool to see how this man carves this duck up. It's like he hasn't done nothing else his whole life. Dinner and the show. Or lunch and the show. You start with a pancake, then add some thinly sliced vegetables to it. Add some duck. I like some skin and some meat. Then you add a bit of sweet bean paste. Then you roll it up like this. And that's how you eat it. Bon appetit. Oh, this is so good. This is the best Peking duck I've ever had in my life.
Oh, that tastes nothing like the Peking duck we have at home.
Tomorrow we're going to visit the famous Forbidden City, but this afternoon we're seeing a different side of Beijing, a Tibetan Buddhist monastery, if we can figure out the metro system.
We have now made it into the adventure called the Beijing metro station.
This metro system has 16 lines. Look how many stops there are. What's pretty crazy here is they have like these electronic billboards where there are commercials that follow the metro as it rides along. I've never seen that. So you'll be going at full speed in the metro and then there will be this billboard just moving and following you and you can just read through the commercial as it moves. I don't know how they do that, but it's pretty impressive. That's China for you. They have some weird stuff here, but it's cool. We have arrived at the Lama Temple. This is the most renowned Tibetan Buddhist temple outside of Tibet. I thought this was going to be a shrine to like lamas, but that's probably the wrong continent.
A lamasery is a monastery for Tibetan monks. So a Tibetan monk is called a lama. Not an animal, it's a Tibetan monk.
The Lama Temple was originally built as a residence for a prince in the 17th century and later converted into a monastery.
So upon entering the temple, you get some, or you can get some complimentary incense, which you're then supposed to burn right here. People seem to be mostly like using this in worshipping, but we're not Buddhist, so I'm just gonna wiggle it around a little bit and then make a wish.
Beijing has a population of over 20 million people, but when you visit places like this, it doesn't feel like a modern giant.
This temple complex is really impressive. 4 or 5 temples after each other, with courtyards in between, places where people are burning incense, people are worshipping, golden statues.
And the temples are in like super good shape as well.
it's
I mean,
really
it reminds me
beautiful.
a little bit of what we saw in Ulaanbaatar, but this is way, way better. Good morning and welcome back to Beijing. This lovely building right behind us is a national center of the performing arts and we are on our way to the Forbidden City. The real question is, we have to enter the Forbidden City by 11:30 because our ticket only lets us in the morning. It is currently 11. Will we make it or will we get caught in a thunderstorm? We've managed to find an equally massive queue.
Behind us you can see the wall of the Forbidden City, so we're closing in on the entrance. Unfortunately there's a few thousand Chinese people in front of us.
You can't even see the entrance yet, so. Yes, it's getting cozy. Personal space is non-existent here. Oh, that is massive. This place is massive. By some miracle we still got in. Look at that. I mean, it is huge. And it's all in such excellent state. The Forbidden City is the largest temple complex in the world, probably also one of the busiest because it only allows in a certain number of visitors per day.
80,000 people to be exact.
Fortunately it's massive, so
It's a
you
really
don't feel
massive
too crowded.
complex.
This is the gallery on top of the Meridian Gate. On
It's
this
really
side,
impressive. Such a beautiful building. All these like small intricate details. Blue, gold, red.
you can even walk across the wall here of the Forbidden City. And it's crazy to think that this used to be completely off limits to normal civilians.
Which is why it's called the Forbidden City.
The Forbidden City. If you would come here uninvited, you would get
Beheaded.
beheaded.
There was a
pretty
punishment
fast.
for entering the Forbidden City.
This massive complex with 980 buildings served as the palace for 24 Chinese emperors over 500 years. As you walk around, you feel the immense power and history of what was once the world's largest and most prosperous empire.
When the emperor entered somewhere, people had to touch the ground 9 times with their foreheads, known as kowtowing. So anytime he entered somewhere, people would get on the floor and...
Please demonstrate.
No. Oh, great Emperor Kim.
Gonna look for some lunch now and show you some real good Chinese food.
Time for food! We just came to this food yard. They have all this kind of different foods. They have dumplings, they have noodles, they have meat, they have pretty much everything. We ordered what looks like a radioactive drink, I don't know what it is. We also ordered some noodles and some dumplings, which we're going to try out for the first time here. So
I took a noodle-based dish with some vegetables, some soybean, and then this thick brown sauce. I'm not really sure what it is. We're gonna give it a go. So this lady just saw me eating it with the noodles and she came out apparently. I'm doing it wrong. I have to mix all of it. She's helping me. By the way, tie is how you say thank you in Mandarin. It's better. Tie. Sometimes with the chopsticks it's so hard.
I just received my pork dumplings. Very famous from southern China, near Hong Kong and those areas. Got two different sauces with them. Don't know what it is. Probably one's going to be very spicy. It's not bad, but the meat on the inside is very soft and a bit fluffy, but it's a bit blanded. Maybe you could have used a bit more spice. Let's try the other sauce. It's spicy. Luckily, I've got some radioactive lemonade. I'm really knackered. I need some rest.
So tired, yeah, so tired.
The next day, we decided to visit what would be the highlight of our time in Beijing, the Great Wall of China. We got a tip from a local to visit a special section of the wall that is not that well known with tourists.
Good morning, welcome back to Beijing. Today we're going to explore one of the most famous sites of China. It's one of the 7 wonders in the world.
The mother of all walls, the
Great Wall of China. Now waiting for the bus to the
Jinshanling section of the Great Wall. Jinshanling is supposed to be one of the more remote, restored sections of the wall to avoid the many day trippers that go to Badaling. Alright, we have arrived to the visitor center. They've made this little path here that you can follow all the way up to the wall. You don't have to follow the road is right there. It's much more pleasant this way.
Now reached the Chinese wall right here. It's a bit smaller and a bit lower than I expected, but hey, it's pretty cool. I would say it's very impressive. Seems very long, so seems legit. Okay, sorry, that was just a silly joke. Obviously, this is the real.
I think that is the real Chinese wall where it starts. Oh. Wow. Crazy landscape. Wow. Oh, that's so cool how it snakes through the mountains. Super impressive, and I'm so happy that we came here because there aren't that many people.
No, there's just here and there's a few groups of people. I've seen some pictures from the Badaling wall during high season and it's really crowded in some places. We almost made it to the top of this section, just a few more meters. Now you can already see across the valley on the other side and the view is absolutely beautiful. You can see the wall and how it goes on for
forever.
Yeah, forever. It seems to go on forever, even like over there all the way in the distance.
It's hard to describe the feeling you get standing on top of one of the most famous landmarks on Earth in a country that at times is not easy to navigate, that to us is 10,000 kilometers from home, but it is already, just 3 days in, one of our favorite countries in the world. Looking out over the wall, you can't help but think, how the hell did all this even get out here in the middle of nowhere?
The construction on the wall began in the 3rd century BC.
So it's more than 2,000 years old.
Which is crazy. It was under the first Qing dynasty, which unified China for the very first time. I'm not exactly sure how long it took them to build it. The initial section was like 10 years with hundreds of thousands of people working on it, but they kept adding pieces on throughout the ages.
Yeah, in 12th, 13th, 14th century, a lot of pieces were added. no idea what they're doing.
In total, the wall spans a length of 6,000 kilometers if you combine all the individual pieces.
Yeah.
Because contrary to what a lot of people think, it is not one total wall of 6,000 kilometers long. It's several parts together. So far, we have been loving China.
Oh yeah, it's like highlight after highlight, and then when you see one thing you think like, whoa, this is so cool, this is going to be one of the coolest things I see here in China, and then the next day there's some new thing.
But we will see you back in Beijing. We've come to this restaurant in one of the busier streets right off the Tiananmen Square where we're actually staying. Our hostel is right next door. They love single-use plastics here. Not good for the environment, but they leave us no choice.
We ordered two different dishes. One is Kung Pao chicken. Yes, Kung Pao chicken. It's diced chicken with some spring onions and a spicy sauce. I don't know how spicy it will be, so it will be a surprise for me as well. It's not really spicy. It's like sweet and sour, a little bit Swedish. Alright, so we stirred in a bit of chili. Hope not made too spicy now. Yeah, exactly the right level of spicy. Really good.
We didn't know that this dish, which is braised eggplant, did come in a sweet and sour sauce, so accidentally we took 2 sweet and sour sauces. This looks so good. And it is so good. Today we're going to explore the Summer Palace, which is where the emperors used to hang out in summer, as the name suggests. It's supposed to be one of the highlights of Beijing, similar
it's
to...
a massive complex with multiple palaces. We're now in what's called Suzhou Street, which is beautiful waterways behind us. We have to be a little bit careful walking around here and filming ourselves because
look how romantic it looks like. It's
I
a
really
little
didn't
bit
expect this. It looks like,
a Chinese version of Venice.
yeah, indeed, it looks like a Chinese version of Venice. It's a whole complex with canals and houses and boats, bridges, and wow, so beautiful. And we just entered like 2 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
we only did like 0.05% of the park until now.
I was just expecting like a big palace, maybe a nice garden here and there, but nothing like that. It was so romantic, so beautiful to see. I love stuff like that. We're now walking up the stairs to get to what do you think is a summer palace?
And the temple of fragrance or something, I don't know exactly. The smelly temple.
Looks like the emperor liked himself a challenge. Why make normal stairs when you can hike up and down rocks to get to your front door? We're actually starting to doubt if there is like an actual palace or if it's just a complex of smaller structures.
There are some buildings that form like the main attractions here, so we're going to look for them. Let's go, 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 go. As it turns out, we're only 20 meters away from this beautiful building. It's the Hall of the Spelling Clouds.
So the thing is, the inside of these buildings usually isn't that impressive. You can't even go inside most of them, but the outside more than makes up for it. It's absolutely stunning. Oh, wow. Oh, look at all the cute little boats on the lake. That lake is huge. I didn't expect it to be this big.
After about 3 hours of exploring this beautiful complex, we have reached the Hall of Longevity and Benevolence. It will sure us a long life after we've been here, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. Now we don't have to like eat healthy or any of that stuff.
Looking at the Hall of Longevity, it's pretty good. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like.
See you in the next one. Bye.